Today we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts hitting the transfer portal, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts hitting the transfer portal. Now, for those of you that are on OUinsider.com, you know a lot about Jalen Hurts to Oklahoma and the situation that was and how it is now inflamed because 24/7 Sports' Barton Simmons reported that Jalen Hurts is now in the transfer portal, which means that teams can reach out to him, programs can reach out to him about perhaps transferring to their school. Now, the top two destinations, I think, are Maryland and Oklahoma. Maryland, because Mike Locksley is about to become the head coach at Maryland, and he could pretty much guarantee that Jalen Hurts is going to be his starter if he went there. However, it's Maryland. Who are the Terrapins? And they're in a loaded Big Ten conference with Penn State that's going to rebuild and reload. Michigan's going to be pretty good. Ohio State's going to be great. You know, you don't necessarily want to deal with that, particularly since what is Maryland's signature win? Texas? I mean, I guess Texas got to 10 wins, lost 4 games, also didn't win a Big 12 championship, and beat Georgia. Fine. But I don't know that Jalen Hurts wants to go to Maryland where he's probably going to go something like 7-5 and maybe make a bowl game. Whereas if he wanted to come to Oklahoma, things get really interesting. Number one, we have the Kyler might return narrative still in play as we're approaching the deadline for NFL early draft entry. Now, I don't think that Jalen Hurts could beat out Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback, but I also don't believe Kyler Murray is going to return to Oklahoma. I think the man is either going to go play baseball or play in the NFL or some combination of both. I just don't see him returning to Oklahoma. Now, that said, I also could see Austin Kendall deciding to transfer if you take on a guy like Jalen Hurts to compete with him for the job. Now, a lot of folks would believe that Austin Kendall is every bit the player who could beat out Jalen Hurts. But let's say that he does. You got this guy breathing down your neck now who won a national championship, which would make him the only other guy not named Cale Gundy with a national championship ring at Oklahoma. It's a very intimidating thing to be behind you. Now, I don't necessarily think that Jalen Hurts is going to transfer somewhere where he's going to sit because he could do that at Alabama right now, and he'd be in the same position to play right now that he was going into the national championship game. I don't think that's in the cards for a guy like Jalen Hurts. Now, outside of that, I could see him definitely wanting to go to Houston, which is back home for him, and perhaps wanting to play for Dana Holgorsen. Now, Dana Holgorsen also has a guy named De'Aaron King who's pretty good, ran in a pretty great offense. Maybe he beat that dude out, maybe not. We'd have to see. But as it stands today, I don't necessarily think that there's a lot of places for Jalen Hurts to go where he could also compete for a national championship that ain't Oklahoma. We know that Clemson is married to Trevor Lawrence. We know that he doesn't want to go to Missouri because Missouri just took in 2 transfer quarterbacks in Sean Robinson and Kelly Bryant. Maybe Arkansas is on the table, but since Kelly Bryant didn't end up at Arkansas, I don't necessarily see that. Now, I know there's a lot of folks that don't necessarily know if Jalen Hurts has the same mechanics to throw the deep ball as a Kyler Murray or a Baker Mayfield or even an Austin Kendall, to which I say, if he decided that he wanted to come to Oklahoma and if Lincoln Riley decided he wanted Jalen Hurts, and if you know the news on OUinsider.com, you know how this probably plays out. Yo, man, Lincoln Riley's a quarterback whisperer. And everybody thought that Kyler Murray was damaged goods after he left Texas A&M, comes and spends a couple seasons in Lincoln Riley's system and wins a Heisman, gets the team to the college football playoff, 4 straight Big 12 championships. Now, take into account Jalen Hurts would be playing right away, which means he'd have spring ball in the summer, and then he'd have to be ready to go against Houston on August 31st. And I've got to believe that there's other offers out there for him to play. Miami might want to make a play at him because they don't really know that they have anything at quarterback. You could also look at places in the Pac-12, like, say, Washington, for instance, but they got Jacob Eason, who might have something to say about that. Could look at a place like UCLA, which is kind of a dumpster fire, but you never really know. And that's kind of the point here. Jalen Hurts has options, but his options get real narrow if he wants to compete for another national championship. Whereas if he just wants to get good tape for the NFL, he can go any number of places and still be a very highly regarded quarterback coming into the draft. I still think that you got to believe that it's Maryland or Oklahoma. And I got to believe that Austin Kendall is kind of just got his hand over his face right now because he played behind Baker Mayfield, who won the Heisman. He played behind Kyler Murray, who won the Heisman. And he could have a guy like Jalen Hurts show up to campus who's won a national championship and is 26-2 as a starter and bailed out Alabama in the SEC title game, basically giving them the opportunity to win the national championship. And then he saw Tua Tagovailoa not have a great game and throw 2 picks, whereas folks like me, they were going, okay, time to put Jalen Hurts in. And he never really saw the field like that. And I don't know that he's going to want to do the same thing that Justin Fields didn't want to do at Georgia, which is basically be a glorified Wildcat quarterback. That's not what he is. That's not what he wants to be. And I think if you can get that dude on your campus, no matter who you are, you're getting leadership, you're getting national championship prowess, and you're going to get a quarterback that can compete with anybody in college football today. This is terribly interesting. I can't wait to see how it all turns out like you. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.